Good morning. Good morning. I think I'm gonna change that countdown. Come up with a different countdown. Anyway, this is OG Troy Knowles, and I am happy to announce this call. Hopefully, it works out well. Marquis is having some technical difficulties, but this is Iron Sharpens Iron with Marquis Golden, who just dropped off in Crypto Cliff. And so, one of the things you got to understand in production is the show must go on. And let's go on with it. What up, Cliff?
What's going on with you, bro? How you doing?
Well, look, man, I see Marquise is backstage. I'm gonna pull him up, man, and I'm looking forward to kind of leaning back and hearing about this perspective of iron sharpen iron, even if it's from different, viewpoints. Marquise, we know, is a stand-up brother in the BMO, good man, husband, good father, Marine, and fellow investor like yourself. And so, without further ado, I'm gonna add him to the stream. What's up, brother Marquise?
Gents, what's up, fellas? How you guys doing, man?
Doing pretty good about
Good.
yourself, brother.
Can't complain, man. Doing well, doing well. Thanks, bro.
I'm almost always amazed at the times you're on here because it's so far behind us. Cliff is at noon. I'm 11 lunchtime. You still at breakfast time, but seem like you around the clock, brother.
Yeah, something like that, man. You know, when you got little kids, two toddlers, man. Wife's busy, I'm busy, so a lot of go. It just is what it is, though, man.
Get in where you fit in. Well, look, I'm gonna drop off and let you two go, man. The subject is iron sharpens iron. I'm gonna hand it off to Cliff, man. You guys, go ahead and talk for a minute. Give us some game.
All right, definitely. How you doing today, brother?
Pretty good, man. How you doing, Cliff?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just hanging in here, man. First off, I want to say, man, thank you for jumping on, man. You one of the brothers in the group who I really look up to, man. You always have general, some real good information, man, and always spreading love to the brothers in the group. So I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, man, I appreciate that.
He did not answer you. He just paused. I think he's just having some connectivity issues. But let's go further on and talking about men like Marquise who are good brothers. You get to learn a lot about a brother, about what he thinks and what he posts. You've already said it, but tell me some of the things that made you realize that Marquise was a pretty cool dude.
Man, Marquise is always hitting everything on the positive note when it comes down to our men's group, especially the original group. He's always the brother who always keeps the uplifting of the brotherhood or the brothership in the group. Every time he posts something, it's something that's meaningful. It's something that gets you thinking. Something that that brings you in and intrigues your mind. And that's one of the brothers. Like I said, I actually appreciate everything that brother right there does. So it's an honor to actually speak to him today.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, it was an event probably a couple of years ago that made me know that I was a fan of Marquise because if you don't know, you might think he might come off as being arrogant, but really it's confidence, right? And I had made a comment, I remember it clearly, and it was about a baby being a blessing. I'm saying, nah, y'all just had sex. And then he said, look, is your baby a blessing? And I don't want to hear no comment. Go live and tell me. And I actually went live and told him what my thoughts were. And then that's when we had this iron sharpened iron moment. They kind of drew us together because he was right in the way he was saying it, but when he got my explanation, it was clear. And I was just saying that we have to be better men at planning our families and providing for our families and not being so reactionary. I was a teenage father, so I could speak from that perspective. But after that, look, I said, when we go forward from here, I'm not repeating that. I don't see how people be having like 3, 4, 5, 6 situations where, they keep on doing these things. They keep on, putting them in position to lose. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I totally understand, man. Because the baby is a big responsibility in the first place, man. Especially having children young. Like I knew this girl who had like 5 kids by the time she was 19.
Yeah.
See, stuff like that, man. She pretty much just set herself up to fail at life.
Yeah, and now she has to just go ahead and invest in the future without even tool set to invest in these kids because she was a child herself.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you find people are growing up with their parents. Okay, here we go. We gonna add them back in. All right, look at that Marine, man. Don't work this time, man. We come up with that. That must be some Marine stuff.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, man? This is my third location, so I started out outside, man, and had a hard time getting connection. I went with Plan B. Plan B didn't work, so here we are. I think we're good now. Next to
Uh-oh. Cool, but I'm gonna drop off, but not before I put up with Gabe. I want you to address this, Cliff, and then go into your thing, man. Go ahead.
Never met a person with this thing about it. Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely, man. Like I said before, man, the brother Marquis he's always putting positivity into the groups. He's always bringing that different way of thinking to the group, man. A lot of brothers, clown a lot, we pick a lot, but he's always bringing something that's mind provoking, something that's always going to make you think outside the box. And I appreciate it, brother, for that.
And accountability. You know, like I said, we're talking about iron sharpens iron. We're going to talk about it from investing perspective, being around investors. But what Marquis, if nothing else, if we stop talking about Marquis right here, is he would challenge you in a way that's not disrespectful. Use his examples that he's seen and that he's developed people, Marines, as the example, and make sure that you're like, you got to come through the front door. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And you could be wrong or right, or it don't matter. It's just that accountability circle is, I think, a pretty good thing.
And we respectfully disagree on certain topics. You know what I mean? And that's the part. That's the main part of that is respectfully. Like me and we had a conversation before. I was waiting for him to jump on about actually, buying a crib out there in California. And I was like, my house now will probably worth, some millions in California versus my here in Metro Atlanta, which I ain't, I paid paid about $400K for it. Right. And he was like, well, you come out here to California, you get all this and you get all that. I'm like, yeah, but I could take that same probably $6 million that I would pay for the house out there in California and buy 4 or 5 houses in the South. So I think I'm gonna stay in the South.
Hey, that California lifestyle is addictive, like that, the views. But then when that bill comes, it ain't so addictive no more. I live in Texas. I'm from California, California to my heart, man. But them $6 a gallon gas tank stuff, assault. That's assault, man. That's robbery. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, man. That's what I was saying. I'm like, I could take that same 5 or 6 million and buy at least 5, 6 houses out here in the South, especially down in South Florida. You know what I mean? So like logically that didn't make sense to me, but I understand what the brother was saying. And me and the brother respectfully disagreed on that aspect, on that issue. But that's what brotherhood is, man. And it was a comical thing we were talking about. It wasn't nothing that serious. But we do get into some serious topics in the group. And the thing about our group, the thing I love about our group, especially the main group, is we can respectfully disagree on a lot of topics.
Yeah, I noticed that some of the disagreements I have become the people I have some of the deepest relationships with, because like I'm in another group, like a father's group, and the admins are just so like, they don't like disagreement, and you can tell they school teachers, because in school you can't have a whole bunch of disagreements. If you're a boy, you gotta sit your ass down and be quiet, and so if somebody disagrees with a person, they'll shut it down, and I need that person to explain your disagreement so we can dissect it, and I can learn something, or I can be like, nigga, you crazy as MF, you know what I'm saying? But whatever it is, I used to be very controversial online, but then when I got the results, people who had followed me for a while was like, yo, OG, how you do that? And not like in some I'm a told you so type of energy. It was like, yeah, man, this is what it is. This is what will work. I think this doesn't work anymore. My kids were born up pretty much before social media took off. Like my oldest daughter was on MySpace, so I didn't have to deal with some of the things that parents are dealing with people coming into your house unannounced, i.e. social media. So I'm not the person. I'm not going to say, man, put them goddamn iPads down. I didn't have to contend with that. You know what I'm
saying? Oh yeah. I remember those MySpace days. Seems so long ago, but it wasn't that long ago. But it seems so long ago, man. But yeah, I definitely, and I have young kids, so I definitely have to deal with that a lot, especially with my 2 youngest who are addicted to their iPads. But yeah, so I totally agree with you.
Hey man, guess what? We in location number 4, player. Location number 4. Out there in the BMW.
Man, I'm determined, gents. I'm determined, man. But
one thing we know about you is you're determined and you're disciplined. and we ain't gotta worry about nothing else. I'm gonna drop off, let you guys get it, man.
All right. Yeah. All right.
But like I was saying before, brother, I honor you, man. I respect you, and I appreciate everything you do for the group, my brother.
Hey, likewise to you, brother, man. I tell you, man, I appreciate you as well, man. You, OG, appreciate all you guys, man. Thanks for,
putting up with me and even giving me a space. I don't live I don't live around a lot of people that look like us, man. So, you know, the group really is a special place to me, man. So appreciate you, brother, and congrats, bro, on everything you got going, man, and everything that's upcoming, man. It's definitely an honor just to be, you know, connected to you, brothers, man. Hats off to you, Cliff.
Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, my brother. Let's start off, man. Tell us a little bit about your background, brother. I know you're from Memphis, man, with that good barbecue out there.
I'm getting ready to work out here in a bit, man. I'm trying to prepare for Thanksgiving, you know, and some of that good grub. But yeah, man. So I grew up in Memphis. Graduated high school 2001, man. I went into the Marine Corps in 2001 or whatnot. So did that for about 20 years, just over 20 years, and you know, I kind of got introduced into investing and the world of investing probably around the year 2010, 2011 is when I first started, you know, diving into it, man. And you know what comes with that, right? It's a totally different type of awakening and perspective, you know, not just on money and personal finances, but investing obviously kind of has a way of, you know, really just opening up your mind to, you know, how you view the world and all that stuff, man. So here in California now, I'll be officially retired probably about 3 or 4 months from now, and I think I found my happy place here on the West Coast, man. I don't plan on moving anytime soon. So, you know, but yeah, 2 kids, 1 on the way, wife. You know, my wife and I, we've been married about 11 years now. So yeah, man, just no thanks, man. I'm just happy to be here, brother.
That's a blessing, man. That's definitely a blessing. I remember you had a conversation before about the West Coast. I was just talking to OG about that. Yeah, you were telling me about actually coming out and getting a vacation home out there on the West Coast. I'm like, I don't know about that one, brother. But I definitely agree with you, man. When you start investing, man, it opens your mind up to so many other opportunities in life, and you start investing in other things in your life. That's what investing actually did for me as well. It made me start investing into my health. It made me start investing into my family, start investing into the way I see the world, period. So I definitely agree with you on that one, my brother.
Oh, so, yeah, absolutely, man.
So I got a few questions I want to ask you, my brother. I know we're doing an interview right here.
Yeah.
So what initially intrigued you to start investing? In which market did you start investing in?
So I think as to what intrigued me, man, you know, so I went and took this financial specialist course, you know, back around 2010, 2011 time frame. And the brother teaching it, he was an older gentleman, probably about, you know, he was in his mid-60s at the time, obviously in his mid-70s now. But he was actually a former Wall Street guy back in the 70s, back in the 80s, you know. So he was he came up, you know, during that area and doing his thing on Wall Street, and then ultimately ended up leaving that, becoming a Marine. And so I think that's kind of how our paths crossed. Even though he was already retired, you know, by the time that I met him or whatever, but he was the one teaching this class. And it was something that he said, you know, that kind of stuck with me. You know, he asked the class, you know, what is the hardest thing to obtain in this world? You know, like what do people lose sleep over? Like just what's the most challenging thing to get after? And of course, everyone kind of followed suit and said, you know, well, of course, money, right? We all want to work as hard as we can to earn as much as we can. And his response to that is what I always remember. And basically, he responded with, you know, money is easy. Money is one of the easiest things to acquire in this world. Like, why do you guys think money is so challenging? So it was his response to that kind of, you know, clicked in my head that make me think like, all right, so what is it that this guy know that I don't know? You know what I mean? For him to, you know, reply in that manner. And he was absolutely right. You know, oftentimes it's our perspective that gets in the way of money and just the way, you know, the world turns and all that. But in any case, that's really what intrigued me. And then, you know, from that point on, I really started digging into the book, man, reading any and everything that had to do with, you know, investing, because as we know, like it's its own world. It has its own language, its own, you know, lingo. So the first thing that I wanted to do was just get a hold of as much material as possible so that I could familiarize myself with the lingo and the verbiage. So I did that for a few years, and then I ended up entering, you know, the stock market. So trading stocks, trading blue chip stocks, man, and securities or whatnot is pretty much the lane that I, you know, began in early on as a day trader, actually.
That's what's up, man. So what you're basically saying is you started investing into the information beforehand.
Oh, absolutely, brother.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, man.
That's what I like to tell a lot of people, especially people in our investment group. Your first initial investment in anything is going to be in the information. It's going to be in the knowledge. Before you put a red shiny penny on any stock, any cryptocurrency, any commodity, you want to invest into the information and learn as much as possible. A lot of people, you know, most people like to gamble the market. How do you feel about gambling the market?
Hey, man, you know, I think the average person works too hard, you know, to gamble. They only have strong feelings about that, you know. But as far as the education piece, man, you know, I actually feel like that's really where the value lies. You know, the education piece, man, that's more valuable than any amount of money that you can make or earn in the market, quite frankly, because once you have it, that's something that can't be taken away from you, you know. I mean, granted, you could gamble, right? A person could gamble. They might hit a lick or two, you know, even if they, you know, hit it big, 50K, 500K, a million or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you don't have that knowledge, you know, that oh so important foundation, you know, you can lose all that money. But, you know, obviously once you do have that foundation of knowledge, you know, you could lose it all and, you know, not sweat too much because you know that you know how to get it back. And it's you know, obviously a skill set that you can leverage, you know, for the rest of your life. So I'm actually more in love, man, with the process and the education piece of it. So when I trade, these days, when I trade, it's honestly, it's not even about the money, man. I mean, it is to a degree, but my goal is just to get better and to be better and to learn more and to come up with, better strategies and refine those strategies so that no matter how the market moves, you know, I have a trade plan that can basically navigate those waters and it keeps me, you know, in the green and profitable. So can't stress the education piece enough.
Oh yeah, I totally agree with you, man. It's a rush for me. It's a rush when I know you put a plan together. You put a strategic plan together, and that you execute that plan to perfection. That's what like you said. That's where the rush for me actually lies in versus the money. The money is good, but when you actually study the market, like you say, you study the market well enough, the money is gonna come regardless. But it's about the lifestyle that we actually go into. Like I tell a lot of people, man, this investing world is a lifestyle. It's not just something we do on whim. It's not a habit. It's a lifestyle. So I totally agree with you on that. But to your point, man, like you said, man, if you can gamble the market, somebody can gamble the market and they can turn around and they can hit for $1 million. But if they have a foolish mindset, that $1 million probably going to last a couple months. If they have a consumer mindset, that $1 million is only going to last a few months. You know, you give a fool $1 million, and how long?
and that's really the key, man. You just said something real big there, man. Having the mindset more so of a consumer, like that's honestly what stands in most people's way. You know, I know a lot of, you know, quote unquote rich people, which just means, you know, you have a good job, you have a high paying salary, or maybe your business does, you know, really well. But obviously, you know, being rich isn't the same thing as actively building wealth. So I know quite a few doctors and attorneys who make really good money, but they still have that consumer mindset, you know, and quite frankly, that's really the first switch that any of us need to flip over or flip off. in order for us to start accumulating wealth. That's really, yeah, man. There's no way to build wealth with a consumer mindset.
Oh, yeah.
There's just no way.
You know what I call that? I call that being rich broke. That's what I call that, being rich broke. It's a lot of people that make over $200,000 a year and still live paycheck to paycheck. You know, it's a lot of people that make over $500K a year and still live basically paycheck to paycheck. That paycheck to paycheck mindset actually goes through classes. A lot of people don't realize that because most people want to elevate their living status as their paper goes up. But like you said, man, like we were talking about, man, the consumer mindset is something that definitely needs to be completely shut off the radar or shut out your mind because it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be detrimental to your pockets in the long run. So. Next question, man, I got for you, man. What's the most successful investment class or asset that you actually believe is the most successful way to actually build wealth?
So for me, I believe that the most successful asset class. So my response is going to be a little different in the sense that the most successful asset class, I don't really just look at it from how much money you can make from it, but I look at the ease and the kind of the automation of it all. And so for me, I think that it is building a foundation first, perhaps index funds or something of that sort, some type of a fund that tracks the market. You know, we all know that the economy in large is based off of how well the S&P 500 does. You know, so like to me, I believe that is like the most successful avenue. So although I trade, you know, and although I am a full-time trader now, and I make more money as a full-time trader, you know, an active trader, but it's that foundation that still does for me because that's where I started, and it's just the power of compound interest, you know. So if I dollar cost average, you know, $4 to $5K a month for the next 20 to 30 years, granted the market only, you know, returns about, you know, 10% on average throughout the course of history, and make it 7% accounting for inflation. Even though I can get much greater gains by trading, but it's the fact that I don't have to do any work when I dollar cost average and just put money into the S&P 500 or ETFs that track the S&P 500. So till this day, man, I still dollar cost average. I still, you know, I don't even see that money. It goes straight into that account, and you know, just adding to my position, you know. And so at the end of the day, I want for, regardless of what I'm building, what all my wife and I are building over here, you know, my wife, she's not the trader. You know, she's not the trader. She's not really the investment type. She's great at a lot of other things. But should something ever happen to me, and I take this skill set off of this planet with me and away from my family, you know, I know that I still have that nice nest egg that's going to last my wife and my family for a lifetime, and even after they pass, that'll still be there. So to me, that's the most, you know, important and the most valuable to me because that's where I started, and that's what I'm sticking with. You know, in the background of me doing all of my other investments. But yeah, that's probably most important for me.
Oh yeah, I totally understand, especially with the dollar cost averaging. And that's pretty much what I teach my students because it's the easiest way to actually gauge the market. It's the easiest way to actually invest into the market versus becoming a trader. A lot of people like to get into the stock market, especially the Forex market, and actually become a day trader. And that's not necessarily the best way to go. A lot of times when you start, you know, at a dollar cost averaging and investing type of model or type of strategy, like you said, in the stock market especially, statistics shows that over the next 20 to 30 years, you'll gain, you know, X amount of returns on it. Now, me personally, you know, I'm a big crypto trader. How you feel about actually dollar cost averaging the crypto market?
Hey, man, I'll tell you, brother. And congrats on the book. I'm definitely going to pick up a copy today, man. But I'll tell you, you have been the most influential as to my outlook on crypto. So I don't own anything crypto at the moment, but admittedly, I was in 2012 who was, it's not backed by anything, it's a gamble. It's not gonna do anything. And it goes without saying, how active and how successful and lucrative the crypto industry is now. So that is something that I do intend to dive into, man, and continue to diversify my portfolio. Quite frankly, I think you're crazy if you're not if you're at least considering crypto at this point.
Yeah, let's just imagine we would have got into Bitcoin at in 2012. How much was Bitcoin in 2012? Let me see. I'm gonna Google that right quick. Now you know what? I don't want to piss you off. I don't want to piss you off.
Oh man.
Now, question. I got a question from one of the. Oh, go ahead, my bad, brother. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, man. It kind of goes back to like how we were talking about how hard it is to become a trader or a professional trader. And a lot of people don't really understand that. Learning the lingo, learning the symbols, if you're a technical trader or if you're a fundamental trader, learning those things, there's a learning curve, but it's fairly simple. But the hard part is the psychology of trading. And the reason why I think of that is because, like when you said a second ago, I wonder what crypto was back in 2012, and naturally I want to go back and like, man, let's do the math on had I moved this over here and did that like that, where would I be at today? So I actually try to refrain from doing that because I think that's where a lot of traders fall off at, right? Because they kind of get into the fear of missing out, or they go back and they try to revenge trade and make up for lost times. So what's worked best for me is coming up with a trading plan and sticking to that relentlessly, even if I lose crazy money or if I, gain crazy money, to not be emotional about it, but to just basically stick to the script. But the way that I'm going to fix this, though, is, like I said, obviously I'm going to be adding crypto to my trading plan. So no regrets.
I totally
regrets,
understand.
Bro.
And I'll be honest with you, bro. I got into Bitcoin at $127, my first initial investment into Bitcoin. But I heard about it when it was 8 cents. So believe me, every time I think about it, it pisses me off. But I understand what you're saying. I understand you can't go back in the past. But if I had a time machine, I'd be a billionaire right now.
Hey, man, you both, man.
Yeah, man. But I got a question for one of the people, man. They actually want to know how did you being a Marine actually help out with your discipline when it comes down to investing?
Well, I think it helped out, tremendously, to be honest with you. I got respect, man, for anyone and everyone who's ever worn, a military uniform, or whether you're a policeman, firefighter, or what have you. But the reason why I chose to, go into the Marine Corps is because I've always been more of an all or nothing kind of a person, I knew that they were going to hold me to the toughest standard, I knew at 18 years old, that I needed some work, that I knew that I didn't have the discipline that I would need to get to where I wanted to be. So coming into the Marine Corps, man, it's a do or die standard, like the standard is the standard. The standard ain't coming to meet you halfway. If you want to survive in this organization, you got to go get the standard. You got to go be the standard every day. And so just that mindset, and leading hundreds of Marines over the years, and not just being their boss, but being their leader, meaning that I'm doing everything that I ask them to do and expect them to do, and to a greater degree. So obviously that calls for a great bit of discipline on my part, because I can't be yapping at them, and here I am struggling with something. You know what I mean? So and so that bleeds over into trading, and I hear a lot, man, about the psychological challenges that a lot of new traders end up facing because as human beings, we're not the best traders, quite frankly, right? Because we have emotions and all that kind of jazz. Whereas if you're, say a technical trader, you're trading based off of math and probability, like no emotions whatsoever. If the trade makes sense, you take it. You know, even if you lose money, you don't really, it's hard not to be emotional about it, but we try not to be emotional when we lose money. But the fact of the matter is, computers and machines trade much better than human beings can because of that,
Agree.
the human factor. But I think me being a Marine and just kind of like living up to that standard for all of those years, man, it actually made it a little easier for me because I kind of have the ability to, kind of turn my emotions off and, just kind of face and deal with things as they are. It's also hurt me though at times as well, to be quite honest, because there are times when I do need to show emotion, and I'm able to, but sometimes it's a challenge to kind of, be human again versus looking at myself like a machine, so to speak. But that's how the Marine Corps, or the military and that discipline that OG always talks about, man. That's how it pretty much bled over and still benefits me to this day, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. It took me a long time. It took me a long time to get that level of discipline where I actually took my emotions out of trading. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna tell you exactly how it actually happened, man. The way my office is set up in my house, my wife's desk is like damn near counter corner from my desk. So every time I would lose a trade, the emotion on my face, she would see every bit of it. So she was like, okay, I guess you just lost some more money. And she was like, how much did you lose this time? How much did you lose this time? So I got to the point to one time I was this when I was trading Forex. I was on a 30-minute chart. I lost, I want to say $7,800 and like it was nothing. My whole entire face just dropped. You know what I mean? And she was like, look here, man, look here. At the end of the day, I think you in this investing thing ain't working. So it took me a while. I had to put every bit of emotion out of me just so I don't let this woman see me losing trades. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now whether I win or lose trades, especially when I'm day trading, if I win or lose trades, she see a blank face now. So she can't tell. Man. So that's basically what happened. That's basically what happened with me, man. I had to take my emotions out so I don't have to hear all the BS from my wife.
Hey, but you know what? Hey, hats off to your wife, man. Because when you become a trader, man, I'll tell you, both of you are along for the ride. Whether your wife is into investments or not, man, they feel the dips, they feel the losses, just like we do as well. So, but it takes a special person to even like stick with us through those times to be like, all right, shake it off, attaboy, get back out there and continue to trust us, you know what I mean, to allow us to flourish, man. Because I think, honestly, without that, there is kind of this pressure to like, you know what, man, my wife, she's already kind of like halfway in, halfway out because she's not really into investments. So you have like this pressure on you while you're trading to, I can only make gains. I can't lose anything, and we all know that that's not realistic. You're going to lose money, time to time. So hats off to your wife, man.
Hey, look here.
Yeah, man, for sticking with you, bro.
Oh, man, look here, man. I think about a week later after I lost that 7,800, man. A partner of mine who actually got me into Forex trading, my boy Daryl, he actually was at the house, man. We had dinner or whatever, him and his wife. And he was like, oh, 7,800 ain't nothing. I lost like 100,000 the other day. You know what I'm saying? So he said it like it was nothing. And at that point, she was like, you mean to tell me you just lost 100,000 and you just sit here eating dinner like it's nothing? He was like, yeah, because I know I get that 100,000 back. And I was like, that's when I need to change my mindset when it comes down to investing. And from that point on, I actually changed my mindset. It took me a while, but I had to start learning that you're going to trading, especially day trading, is a game of being the biggest loser or the best loser because you're going to lose trades. But if you make 10 trades and you lose 9 trades, but that 10th one actually comes over and overcaps everything else that you just did with those other 9 trades you won. And that's what I think a lot of people why a lot of people actually lose money because they never get that discipline level down. They never get that level of humbleness in the game down. They want to come in the game and actually gamble with the market, and that's when you lose money. Especially in the crypto market, I'll say that 3 more times, especially in the crypto market. When you get into plays like Safe Moon and Sheeb and all those other, what I call shit coins, you're gonna lose money because you're gambling the market versus actually learning the fundamentals and learning how to actually take your emotions out of everything you do. Yeah. I got one more question for you, bro. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, brother.
What is some advice that you would give, especially you being a stock trader? Because you know the thing in our group is we're not a cryptocurrency group. We are a full investment group, whether it's stock market, commodity market, forex market, futures market, crypto market, real estate, whatever. You know, what is some advice that you would give to a beginner investor?
In particular, someone who's trading like the financial markets, or just in general?
Just in general.
So I think the one thing that I would say, man, is so we've talked a lot about, you know, the foundation. You know, I talked about the S&P 500, or if there are some other, you know, perhaps stable coins or something that, you know, someone could, you know, kind of build a foundation with on the crypto side of things. There's also a foundation that has to be built before the foundation. So that first bottom level foundation, in my opinion, is where you maximize the income that you already have. So if you're, you know, whatever job you're currently working, whatever your income is, you know, is to pay down your debt as much as possible or as quick as possible. Get rid of it if you can, you know, as soon as possible, and to maximize, you know, whatever you're doing on your job. If you're in the corporate world, climb that ladder, right? You know, expand your income. And then in doing so and getting rid of debt, take all that extra money and then build a saving. You know, make sure you have a saving plan first and foremost after paying off debt. Build up at least a minimum of 6 months, you know, worth of savings. If you can do a year, that's even better. And I know that sounds cliche because everyone says, you know, save up 6 months or a year or whatever worth of savings. But I'm going to tell you why that's so important when you start talking about investing. Investing it's not gambling, but it's obviously, you know, you making well thought out and calculated, you know, investments or whatnot, which you absolutely can. 100%. You can lose money. You can lose all of your money in investing, quite frankly. But having that savings, you know, set to the side, taking the pressure off of you of, you know, I'm making this investment, but I have to make money because I need that money to pay this bill or that bill, you know, it alleviates all of that. So if you were to lose your job or what have you, you know, you still got that money, you know, sitting to the side. But more importantly, the money that you are sitting to the side for the specific purpose of investing, you should never have to touch your investment money just because you lost your job or just because, I don't know, the light bill was $600 this month, which is, you know, kind of normal out here on the West Coast and some places on the East Coast as well. But having that money set to the side for savings ensures that you never have to go into your brokerage account and pull money, because if you're going into your brokerage account, you're pulling money out of that to pay bills, in my opinion, you need to go back and build that first foundation so that will allow you to invest fully and dedicate those resources to that. The next thing that I would say is, you know, and I know it's hard, especially on social media and YouTube these days. You know, you watch people who are successful investors or who say they are successful investors, and they drive around in Lamborghinis, they drive whatever they drive, they live wherever they live, and naturally you want that too, or you want whatever it is that you desire. And it seems like those people attain those things almost overnight, you know, but what most people seem to miss is everything that led up to those traders or those investors becoming successful. People miss out on that. I'll just tell you a quick story. After I got started, you know, so like my wife and I, we already had that initial foundation. She already had a, you know, really well-paying job. I had a well-paying job. You know, we paid off what debt that we did have at the time. We didn't have kids, so we were able to make some more extreme sacrifices. You know, like she moved up to Sacramento, to Northern California, and she worked up there for about almost 4 years, and I was down here in SoCal doing my thing. And we both, you know, were focusing on our careers, getting our capital up so that so that we could really unleash ourselves. So after doing that for a few years, and like I mentioned earlier, I ended up taking this guy's class. Then there was a period where, hey, I had to be okay not making money in the stock market. I had to be okay just focusing on, my studies and reading everything I could get my hands on. I had to be okay trading the, simulator account for a while. I had to be okay doing that, right? And then once I started trading, slowly but surely I started to make, more money or whatever. And then we ended up moving into a different area, a different city or whatever, to give my wife a better commute. And so that led into me getting into angel investing, because what happened was we wanted to live in a better place. We were already in a good place, but we wanted to live in this really nice community. But I knew that within the community that we were moving to, it was dubbed as kind of like the best community in the area. So I knew that that's where all the doctors were staying. That's where all the entrepreneurs were staying. That's where all the other, successful investors and retirees were living. So I wanted to put us in that environment, and lo and behold, I ended up becoming good friends with one of the guys who owned like half the hotels in the city. I ended up becoming, good friends with, people doing like big things, man, just to keep it simple. But it was one of those individuals that ended up, personally inviting me in to join their angel investing group out of LA, right? And then from there, we obviously did that thing, and I still benefit from a lot of that today. And then I ended up getting into real estate. So there's a lot of different streams of income that I have right now, but none of this was like, just overnight. It was all a long arduous, process. So I said all of that just to say, you got to have patience. You got to have patience with yourself, and you got to stick to your studies, because as I mentioned before, the money sounds good, but I'm telling you, it cannot touch the value that the education brings, because nobody can take that away from you. And if the stock market and investing in general, if you're watching this and you still think that, it's too risky, or, it's gambling, or what if I lose everything, I'm going to tell you, if you're not investing, you will lose everything, because just saving alone, it's a losing man's game. You will lose. So you can't afford not to be invested. So you lower your risk, you lower your fears by getting into your books and studying and just sticking with it, and and putting yourself out there, but fall in love with the process of attaining knowledge in the markets, and it'll become easier, and then there's no limit from there, man. It really is.
Man, that's dope, man. Hey, you said a mouthful, bro. Especially basically you said get off your ass and go ahead and get it to it. Basically.
Yeah.
Basically get off your butts, and you have to get into it. The thing is, especially with, like you said, with saving money has never made anybody wealth, because with the inflation rate, you're literally losing on average 1.98%.
Oh yeah.
So you're losing money, yeah, at least. And I mean, right? I'm in Atlanta right now. Atlanta's inflation rate is the highest in the entire country. It's 8.7% right now. So by me saving money in Atlanta, I'm losing money. So, man, look here, man. I appreciate all the bulk and all the knowledge you actually just put on us and bestowed on us today, man. One of the things I really want to kind of cap back on what you said was having that savings for at least 6 months while you invest. A lot of people don't understand exactly how important that is. I really want to go back on and touch back on that a little bit, man, before I let you go, man, because the average person, 87% of people in this country actually live paycheck to paycheck, and that's only 77% live paycheck to paycheck. 10% on top of that live below the means of paycheck to paycheck. That means 87% of the people, adults here in this country, are actually one missed paycheck away from being homeless, which is terrible numbers, to be honest. So for when you said that have at least a nest egg for you to be able to survive for 6 months, man, that's pivotal when it comes down to investing in yourself, not even investing into the markets. That's pivotal when it comes down to actually investing into your family. You want to at least have a nest egg. Me personally, I say have something that's set up for you to survive for at least a year. Yeah, a year or two. Yeah. So I definitely want to hit back on that point, man. But man, I appreciate you for coming on today, brother. Is there anything you want to ask me while you got me on this call?
Yeah, man. So in terms of prior to you investing in crypto, had you ever considered any other asset classes prior to crypto?
Yeah, I actually started out as a forex trader, to be honest. I lost a lot of money trading forex, to be honest. I wasn't as good as forex, and I actually started off in the forex market and the binary options market, and I lost a ton of money. I saved up money just to lose money in both of those markets, but I didn't lose anything because I gained a wealth of knowledge by actually investing into those markets. I'm kind of like you. I'm a competitor. I played sports in high school, played sports in college. So when it comes down to being competitive, I have a competitive nature. So I don't like to let stuff punk me, as I see it. So I got into investing in stocks, and started the dollar cost averaging investing model, like you mentioned earlier, in the stock market. And with that came, after that, I got into the crypto market. And the crypto market actually changed my whole entire perspective on investing, period. And it changed my life, to be honest, because I got in so early. And I still think the earlier the market, it's still an early market for anybody to get into right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I do have another question, bro. What was the key, to you actually having, that mindset shift, as to say, what, this is it. There ain't no such thing as another dream job, I'm committed to this investing thing, for life as a lifestyle. Like I'm all in 1,000%. What was it that flipped your switch to go into, that mode? Was it something that you seen in someone else that you liked, or was it a hardship, or perhaps you hated your job beforehand, or just what was it that made you go full throttle, all in?
Well, what made me go full throttle, to be completely honest, it was kind of like a number of things. The first thing was I actually drive trucks. I drove trucks for 6 years before I got into investing, and I drove trucks to help put my wife through school. So when she actually finished school and she got into her career, her first thing was, I know you hate driving trucks. Now it's time for you to go out and seek your dreams. I can hold everything down at the house. You go out here and seek your dreams. I said, okay, cool. I got in. I actually met up with my brother Daryl, and he actually was a forex trader at the time. Forex kind of intrigued my mind, but I still was kind of on the fence with it. But what really, really got me into investing, I really invested into myself and actually wanted to live a more purposeful life, was when my brother-in-law was murdered. When he was murdered, that changed everything in me. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I had to be here for my wife because there's her brother, and she went through a terrible depression behind it. And I couldn't go back on the road. So I kind of was like stuck between a rock and a hard place. So now I have to figure out something. I can't leave the house and go out and actually seek work. So now I have to figure out how I can actually make this investing thing actually work for my benefit and for the benefit of my family. And that's what really spearheaded me into investing, bro.
Okay. So I also have to ask you, man, beyond the money, right? So I know that we all probably have, certain financial goals, and there may even be a specific number tied to that, but beyond the money, what's the bigger purpose, behind why you do what you do?
Teaching. I learned that my purpose in life is to actually become a teacher, to be honest. I get more enjoyment out of brothers actually calling me, and I get calls every day of brothers actually calling me, making huge gains in the investment space. When I'm on stage, when I teach, I taught at 2 different conferences now. I feel like that's my throne. That's my lane. And I've never spoken in front of anybody before before all of this stuff. I wasn't a big, huge stand in front of the crowd type of speaker. But I see that I'm a natural at it. And actually, like I said, but teaching people and actually showing people that they don't have to live in this financial wealth gap that we actually have right now. they can actually overcome this wealth gap and actually live a more purposeful life. Excuse me, I'm kind of stuttering a little bit, but live a life full of purpose. You can go out here and actually seek your dreams. One of my biggest things is traveling. Investing actually got me into the lane where now I've been able to see a lot of places of the world. I was in Maldives in June. That was a big highlight for me. You know what I mean? So teaching people that you don't have to live in this bubble that society actually puts us in as Black people. You can, ascend above this bubble and actually go out here and live a life that you actually dream of. Even the smaller gains, when somebody calls me and tell me that, hey, I took $10 and put it into this and I made $100 off of it, that's huge to me. Because now you're learning how to actually let money work for you versus you working for money. That's my purpose behind what I do when it comes down to BMMO, Crypto Cliff, everything else that is involving us brothers, man, and us, period. It's all about giving people the knowledge. Because when you have knowledge, you have wealth. And when you have wealth, you have power.
Right. I'll tell you one thing, man, and it leads into a follow-on question. Like before you started on your journey, before I started on my journey, we picture how it's gonna be, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna have the support of our family, we're gonna have the support of our friends, like all the stars and the moon is gonna align, but I know that we both know by now that actually couldn't be further from the truth, because the fact of the matter is, as you elevate and as you continue to elevate, as we elevate, we start to notice that the people who you always thought would be there, those people oftentimes fall off because, for whatever reason, some people aren't really equipped to be able to handle your success. So it's true, as they say, that it's lonely at the top. There's a lot of tree shaking that goes on as people kind of fall, to the wayside. I don't think it's because. I don't think it's always because, people may hate on you or because people may hate on me or anyone else listening to this. But I think sometimes your success or my success or anyone else's success, it forces those around us to kind of look in the mirror and, they start to evaluate themselves, and then they're not as comfortable around, you, because they might see your success intimidating. So my question to follow that is, how do you deal with the people or with the fact that so many people that you love and care about jump off the boat or may jump off the boat in the middle of your process?
No, I don't. I don't deal with them at all. That's why I had this saying, man, fuck your friends and fuck your family. You know what I mean? And I say that because, not to say, dismiss them, but because most people, they only put negative energy on you because they can't see themselves doing that, or they think they can't do what you do. I'm the same brother I was when I was back in Pensacola, Florida, selling dope. I'm the same brother I was when I was in college playing ball. I'm the same brother I was when I was broke and eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches when me and my wife first got together. It's not the people when you, especially, and you probably know this as well. When you get, gain wealth, or when you gain a lot of knowledge, because knowledge is wealth, and you start actually living a more purposeful filled life, man, it's not you that changes, it's the people around you that really change. Like you said, so me personally, like I give everybody knowledge, especially, when it comes down to this group, I give everybody knowledge. I don't mind giving people knowledge, but if I give you knowledge and I'm pouring life into you, I'm breathing life into you, and you're not reciprocating that and breathing life back into me, I keep it moving and go to people who actually want to breathe life back into Cliff. I breathe life back into BMMO. I breathe life back into whatever we're doing. So I like to keep those type of people around me, and everybody else just to fall to the wayside. Because people, people are jealous.
That's awesome, man. And I'm glad that. Yeah, I'm glad that you say that, man. And that's kind of one of those things that every word you just said kind of for me too, right? And I really feel the same way about it, because I kind of, and I think it may be a natural thing for a lot of people, when you first figure out, some of life's lessons, or you first really get good at whatever it is you're doing, and then you start to climb and accelerate and grow exponentially. Sometimes we feel the pressure to continue to make people around us comfortable so that they don't get, you know, or become intimidated, so that they don't think you've changed, or, you know, like all those things, you know. And so I went through a period of, you know, trying to accommodate people, you know, so that they would feel comfortable around me. But what happened was, you know, it's like the more knowledge that I obtained, the more disciplined I became, and the faster that I began to grow and accelerate my life. It came to a point where, you know, all I know today, I just know how to be myself, man, and I don't intimidate anybody to make you feel comfortable, you know, not even in the group. And it's not like from a bragging standpoint, or it's not that I'm like boastful about this, that, or the other. But, you know, these days I just more so have a mind. I believe in being the best, man. You know, I'm a Christian. I believe that the God who made me is the God of all gods. I believe he's an excellent God. And if he's the one that created me, you know, in his image, then it's in me. I have no choice but to be great, you know. So I don't make excuses for other people. I don't apologize for my mindset. I don't apologize for my success. I used to attempt to hide it, but then you get to a certain point where, you know, you just can't hide it, right? And then you get to a place where it's like, why am I hiding this? You know, as if I'm doing something wrong, you know, because if I was, you know, like a really messy person and had a real jacked up life, and if I was sharing all of my mess on social media, everybody would like, love it, laugh, you know, and share it. But when you're bringing something, when you're only bringing positivity to the table, it seems like some people have a mindset of, oh, that's just too positive. Like, you know, look at him over there, look at her over there, taking care of their kids. You know what I mean? Like, who do they think they are? You know, taking these trips, doing this, that, and the other. But I'm glad you said what you said, man, because you know, I don't really put any energy whatsoever into you know, trying to accommodate people. But it's not because I don't care. It's actually because I do care. I'd rather you come and meet me where I am instead of me coming down there where you can stay comfortable. You know, I'm not going to come down there anymore to make you stay comfortable. I'm going to be who I am. And, you know, if we're going to roll, be friends, do business, or whatever, what have you, or just hang, like, we need to have a mindset of excellence in common, man. And I'll just leave that right there, man. But, hey, I really appreciate you, man, for inviting me on, bro. And, you know, again, congrats to you, man. Congrats to your wife, because I know that at the end of the day, you know, we're only as good as those queens behind us who support us, brother. So hats off to your wife again, man. And congrats to you, Brother Cliff, man, on all your success, brother. I wish you nothing but the absolute best in life, and then a little bit more on top of that, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro.
But it's an honor, brother. It's an honor, man.
Hey, man, likewise, man. I appreciate everything you do for the group. Like I say it again, man, you're one of the brothers in the group that you always keep us on our toes, man. You always make sure you're spreading that positive word, man. Even, I know we had a few incidents, you know, where brothers actually wasn't taking your words, you know, as something kind, man. And I always knew that, you know, man, Marquis ain't do that, right? You know what I mean? But when it comes down to it, man, you're the one brother in the group, man, that always push brotherhood. You always push love, and I appreciate that for you, man. I love you, brother.
I appreciate that. Love you too, bro. I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Man, that was a great lunch hour. And had a great time. Had a couple quick questions before we get out of here. Probably got a minute left. And these question is, what books did you read to change your mindset and focus? That comes from Maurice. And he also has a second question, if we can get this in like a minute or two.
Okay.
Where'd you find the best information about dollar cost averaging? So the books and the dollar cost averaging. Either one of you can take it.
I can take the books. You can take the dollar cost averaging, Marquis, if you want to, bro. The one book that made me change my mindset with investing is The Intelligent Investor. That's one of the books I probably read about 15 times. And each time I read that book, I get a different meaning of everything in that book. So the intelligent, I advise any investor, any beginner, anybody who's even been investing for years to actually get into that book and read The Intelligent Investor.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. That's a great book. That's a great book, man. I read that one and thoroughly enjoyed it and got a lot out of it as well. Another book that like really helped me to really get on the right track. It's an oldie but a classic, and that's Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I actually hate the name of the book because I just hate the cliche word rich. But the book itself, it speaks more to about, you know, how to look at life, you know, from what perspective, whatever, when it comes to finances, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. As far as, I think the question was, where did I learn about dollar cost averaging? Okay, so where did I find the best information for dollar cost averaging? So me, honestly, there wasn't really a single source, you know, because like I said, I kind of read in everything that I could get my hands on. But I'll tell you a really good place for investors of all levels. A really good source is Investopedia. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, but Investopedia. They can take you from where you are to wherever it is that you want to go in terms of education. And they even have animated videos on their website and on their app to help, you know, put into pictures and put into most the concepts in the art of investing, to include dollar cost averaging. So Investopedia, I would recommend that as a great source.
Yeah, great source. That definitely is a great source. The one source that I actually used when it came down to dollar cost averaging investing, honestly, I got my information from a ton of different sources. Twitter, I started following people on YouTube mostly, to be honest. Once I heard the terminology or the definition of dollar cost averaging investing, I just went to searching everywhere, to be honest. And I kind of put together my own kind of plan when it comes down to dollar cost averaging the market.
Fellas, that was great. Man, Marquis, thanks for the 4P. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd have gave up the, you know, okay, no one gives up the first time. Second time, third, but to go to the fourth location shows a lot about the things that Cliff's been saying and everyone else has been saying as well. So appreciate you, Cliff, man, and everyone else. Thanks for the comments, and y'all have a great rest of the day.
Yeah, appreciate you again, brother.
Hey, appreciate you fellas, man. You brothers be blessed.
All right, you too, bro.